Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. Today's show made possible by RexMD. If you lack some confidence in the bedroom, RexMD here to help change that. They are FDA approved and the #1 leader in men's telehealth, up to 90% off at rexmd.com/chat. Today's show is looking at some of the top cut candidates for the Dallas Cowboys, coming to us from our friends over at Blogging the Boys. 5 players they said could be released based on the 2023 NFL Draft. I think they got 5 guys that should be on this list, so I wanted to explore it. Beginning with Neville Gallimore, the defensive tackle, the 3rd pick of that CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs masterclass draft by the Cowboys. But he has not lived up to expectations. I said on that draft, if this draft class is bad, you can blame me because they basically went off of my own personal board. The Lamb and Diggs parts have worked out great. Tyler Biadasz has been a nice day 3 find. Neville Gallimore has not lived up to expectations so far. He has shown flashes at points in his NFL career, but he's in the last year of his deal. The Cowboys would save $2.75 million if they cut him, and the consistency has not been there for Gallimore. In fact, the numbers have kind of gone the wrong direction. He's battled some injuries, but he's also just been a straight-up healthy scratch at points, and he was playing deep into the preseason last year with what I suspect was a challenge from the front office to get him to be better than what he was in terms of his pre-process there. Gallimore is kind of caught between being a 3 technique and a 1 technique, has not wowed at either spot. I thought he was going to be a 3. Cowboys put him more in the interior. He's never lived up to the hopes that I know many of you have had so far. I don't think he gets cut after the draft. But if they draft a defensive tackle somewhat early, it puts him on the roster bubble, and he will have to earn that spot in the preseason, or else he is a prime cut candidate. So Gallimore is one of the bigger names on this list, but it does make sense. Next up is Jourdan Lewis, the cornerback, who carries a somewhat healthy contract. And if the Cowboys do go cornerback early, potentially round 1, round 2, that would put Jourdan Lewis's spot in doubt. So we'll go more in depth on Lewis and the other 3 names on this list. But I want you guys to know who you think the Cowboys should cut. Not who they will cut, who do you want them to move on from? It's the pinned comment on today's show. So if an ad break happens to come here on YouTube, cool. Take advantage of it, ignore it, head down there, drop the player name you want the Cowboys to cut. All right, Jourdan Lewis release would save $4.71 million as of right now, kind of in line to be the top backup nickel corner. Lewis was the starter last year. I think I can speak freely here. Lost his job because of injury to DaRon Bland. DaRon Bland played really well for the Cowboys, and I think he has to start for Dallas. Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, and DaRon Bland, CB 1, 2, 3. Israel Mukuamu has shown some ability in that nickel corner role after the Cowboys were desperately trying to find people to plug and play and ended up working out okay. There's also Nahshon Wright, Kelvin Joseph on the roster, who we will get to in a little bit. Some more cornerback conversation coming, but first, if you sometimes lack some confidence in the bedroom, had those nights where you get a little too nervous, or maybe you just had too much to drink, there's nothing worse than not being able to put the old stick shift in drive when you need it most. But have no fear. RexMD is here, helping you out even if you had a few too many beers. RexMD is FDA approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored today's Cowboys Report to help you always be prepared. They've made it simple, easy, and cost-effective to help all the men out there last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. RexMD makes getting generic and branded Viagra or Cialis easy. Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver it discreetly to your door. There's no waiting rooms, no embarrassing trips to the doctor, no insurance, no copays. Take advantage of the best deal they've ever offered and get up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link to rexmd.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are available for you guys to get started. That's rexmd.com/chat for up to 90% off Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. As promised, some more cornerback conversation as it relates to cut candidates. Kelvin Joseph, who, yeah, you all knew he'd be on this list. There's not much monetary savings here pre-June 1st, before, the preseason. $612K. After June 1st, so preseason cut time would be $1.37 million. Not an insignificant amount of money for a player that, as desperate as Dallas was to find the number 2 corner, the Cowboys didn't trust him to play football. They needed a number 2 corner in a biggest thing they had in midseason last year. They were trying dudes off the street. They had a second-round player on their roster, and they did not trust him to actually play football for them. Kelvin Joseph, I think his confidence is shattered, both internally and the organizational trust in him as well. If Dallas does take a corner at pretty much any point, frankly, which I think is a good chance that they do, it would be Joseph fighting for his life on the roster, along with another recent draft pick at corner. But first, if and when these guys get cut, we'll have the news for you. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Free videos every single day right here on the Cowboys Report. The other corner on the bubble, Nashon Wright. The former third-round pick, top 100 selection. Understandably, much has been made about Kelvin Joseph because he was an earlier pick. You also had a top 100 pick the team did not trust to be on the football field. He had a really rough preseason. The numbers don't look that bad, but again, when you're not able to get on the football field and they're signing dudes quite literally off the street to play instead of you, that's a bad sign. Nashon Wright has not lived up from the Cowboys to the Cowboys' expectations so far. I think, again, if they draft a corner, still a decently sized if, but I think there's a good chance that ends up happening. These guys, Kelvin Joseph and Nashon Wright, are going to be fighting for their lives. Might come down to special teams in the end. So pick one to cut. If you can only move on from one of them, or maybe you have to move on, depending on, I guess, how you feel about both players. Who is it? KJ for Kelvin Joseph, NW for Nashon Wright. Another popular name is offensive tackle Josh Ball, who simply did not fare very well at any point so far in his Cowboys career. Injuries, some power issues, not much savings here. Remember, you got to pay the guy you replace him with vet minimum, so minimal cap savings. This is about, hey, can we put somebody else on the roster that we like more? Does that guy exist? Because right now your roster locks, right? Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. I think Matt Farniok is a roster lock, and I think Matt Waletzko had already surpassed Josh Ball. So that would be 7 offensive linemen. Then there's guys fighting for a spot. Alec Lindstrom, Alex Taylor, Brock Hoffman, Saini Chum Adoga, Josh Ball. You throw in a draft pick, which I would bet all of my money there's at least one offensive lineman, if not multiple, taken this year by the Dallas Cowboys. Now you're up to 8 or 9 players already, and that would put Josh Ball on the outside looking in of this draft class. So I think a lot of these guys, Ball, Wright, Joseph, and Gallimore in particular, are going to be, preseason cuts somewhere in that range of like wait and see what happens there, injuries and whatnot. Maybe Jourdan Lewis gets cut because there's savings and he can go get a new job potentially. I doubt there's much trade value for any of those 5 guys. But again, the cut candidates, Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle, saves you under $3 million. Jourdan Lewis, the cornerback, saves you 4.5-ish. Kelvin Joseph, former second-round pick. Nashon Wright, former third-round pick. And Josh Ball, a former fourth-round pick. Don't save you that much money, but it's getting rid of players who just have not panned out remotely the way they want to. And I think those last 3 guys in particular, plus Neville Gallimore, they'll be fighting for their roster lives come preseason time. They're going to be prime roster cut-down candidates for the Dallas Cowboys.